If you've ever wondered why you can't stop shopping or staying busy or even organizing, stick around because this one's for you. I lost my mother and the father of my children in the span of a couple of years. I was in my 20s at the time and went into a pretty deep bout with anxiety. And to combat that, I became obsessed with organization. But here's what nobody told me at the time. Sometimes getting organized isn't so much about creating order, it's really about avoiding pain. And that realization changed me. Hi, I'm Tiffany, your organizing bestie, in my head anyway. I help women just like you change their environment and mindset and level up authentically because I believe that organization is transformation. And I want to share something fairly vulnerable with you guys today because I think that it may help somebody that needs to hear it. So, like I said, I was in my 20s and I experienced losses that pretty much shattered my world. And instead of falling apart like I probably should have, I became the most productive and organized version of myself. And I feel like on the outside, I did look like I had it all together, but in the inside, I was running from feelings that I didn't know how to deal with and I didn't know how to process. So, right after my losses, shopping became my drug of choice. Not extravagant, nothing extravagant, just like little purchases here and there. I'd get a planner, or I'd get some bins, or I'd get some food. I'd get clothes for the kids and things like that. Things that made me feel like I was doing something, like I was like taking care of like adult business. Things that made me feel like I was in control. Because the thing is, like, grief makes you feel completely out of control. And I always say grief is like an ocean, like it's like waves. So sometimes the waves are really big, and sometimes they're smaller. Sometimes they roll in one after another, and sometimes they're less frequent. What you can't control the waves, just like you can't control your grief. You can't control death. You can't control the waves of pain. You can't control how your whole life changes overnight, but you can control what you buy. You can control what you bring into your home. You can control small decisions that make you feel like a functional adult. That brings us to the first lesson that I took from that time. We often choose controllable activities to compensate for uncontrollable pain. So every time that I felt that crushing wave of I can't believe they're gone, I'd get in my car or I'd grab my phone and I would shop. The window shopping and browsing and adding to cart and waiting for my Amazon or waiting for packages to arrive. It gave me something to anticipate that wasn't grief. And it was like that little dopamine hit in a season where joy it felt impossible. And for a while, that was working until my closets were full and overflowing, and my bank account was stressed out, but I was still empty. And then I still felt all of that anxiety. Then I discovered organization content. And oh my goodness, let me tell you, it was like I found my calling. I would stay up until 2 a.m. organizing and reorganizing. I would spend entire weekends creating color coded systems in my closets. And I created systems for everything from cleaning to a morning routine to shopping, you name it. And people started complimenting me. They were like, "Oh, you're doing so well. You're doing so good you're so strong for the kids, and you're doing such a good job of keeping it all together." But I was not keeping it together. I was keeping it buried. And that brought me to lesson two, is that sometimes our strengths can be our weaknesses. So they sometimes become our hiding places. Organization really is it is my genuine gift. I'm analytical, I'm practical, I have pattern recognition, and all these things lend themselves very well to organizing. But the organizing that I was doing was keeping a wall between me and my feelings. So every hour that I spent organizing was an hour that I did not spend crying. Oh God. So my breaking point came when I realized that I couldn't stop. So like even when my house was organized and I felt like I was on top of things, I'd find something else to fixate on. I'd find something else to improve or to control. I was exhausted, but I couldn't rest, and I was productive, but I wasn't present. And I desperately wanted to be present. I wanted to be present for my kids. I wanted to be present for myself. I wanted to be present for my God. And then one day, probably when I was in the middle of organizing a linen closet or something else that didn't need to be done, I stopped. And by this time, I had discovered minimalism. And like I said, I don't consider myself a minimalist now, but that time did teach me to evaluate why I bring things in and examine, things in my space. And I just stopped and I'm like, what am I doing? What am I running from? And the answer literally crashed over me like a wave. And I'm like, if I stop moving, the grief is going to devour me. Oh God, I can't be on YouTube crying.
3 hours later.
Oh, I'm back. Oh, but that time brought me to lesson 3, and that's feelings. The feelings that we avoid, they don't shrink, they grow. So I had spent so much energy building up these walls against my pain that I also was blocking off my healing. So I learned that you can't selectively numb your emotions. So I'm on a weight loss journey, like so many of us are. And a lot of times you hear, oh, you can't spot reduce. Like you can't pick and choose where the fat comes off. And it's the same with emotions. You can't pick and choose which emotions you feel. So if you numb pain, you're also numbing joy. And if you numb sadness, you're also numbing the peace that comes after the sadness. And so I feel like God gave us emotions for a reason, even the hard emotions, and sometimes like especially the hard emotions. So I had to learn something that felt like completely awkward and kind of backward to a perfectionist like me. Like I had to kind of let myself fall apart a little bit. I had to sit on my couch and I had to cry instead of cleaning it. And I had to journal about my anger instead of going into my office and then organizing it. And I had to pray. And I'm talking about like honest prayers, not them pretty prayers, but the honest prayers like, I'm so mad at you. I'm so mad at this situation. And you know what? I didn't fall apart. I didn't fall apart. The grief was heavy, not gonna yay. And sometimes it still gets to me, obviously. But I did learn that avoiding it was not dealing with it. Avoiding it, that's what was causing my pain. And dealing with the emotions, that's when I started to finally be free. But that's when I learned lesson number 4, and it's that healing requires honesty, not performance. And grief, it does come in waves, it does, but the waves recede. And I learned that crying isn't weakness because it's a gift, it's a release. And I learned that God can handle it. He is big enough to handle it. My messy and my anger and my questions and my complicated, he can handle it all. He can, and because he meets us in our mess, not in our performance, not having it all together. Psalms 34:18 says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." Those who are crushed in spirit, not those who are well organized, not those who have it all together, not even those who are strong, those who are brokenhearted. But you have to allow yourself to be brokenhearted first. So now here's what's different. I still love organization. I still love it. It's still a gift. It's still my gift. But now it's a tool for creating space in my life and not for feeling the space where I should be feeling my feelings. Feeling my feelings. Say that 5 times fast. So now when I organize, I check in with myself and I'm like, okay, am I doing this to improve my life or am I avoiding something? Am I creating order or am I creating a distraction? And that brings us to lesson 6, and that The same actions could be harmful or healing depending on the intention. So, organization, it's not bad. Staying busy isn't bad. Even shopping isn't bad. Those things are not bad in and of themselves. But when they become defense mechanisms more than solutions, that's where we have the problem. So I had to stop and listen and learn that feelings have wisdom. So my anxiety was telling me something. It was telling me you're carrying too much, and you need support. My sadness was telling me something. It was telling me you love them, and that includes love includes grief. Even my anger was telling me something. It's like it's not fair, and it's okay to acknowledge that. So when I started to listen to my feelings instead of trying to organize them away, that's when I really started healing. So if you're watching and something is stirring in you, the question that I want to ask you is, what are you avoiding? What have you been using to keep your emotions at bay? What is busyness and productivity and perfectionism keeping you from? And maybe it's not grief for you. Maybe it's disappointment about where you are in life or where you should think you should be in life. Or maybe it's fear, maybe about the future. Or maybe it's shame about the past. Whatever it is, you do not have to let it keep you from moving forward. You don't have to keep running. And that brings us to our final lesson, and that's courage isn't the absence of fear. It's feeling the fear and moving forward anyway. So here's my encouragement. You're allowed to be not okay. You're allowed to admit that life is lifing really hard right now. You're allowed to be angry and lost. You are allowed to be a work in progress. Because the beautiful part is when you stop avoiding things, that energy that you were using to avoid feeling your feelings is now energy that's freed up for your transformation. That's now energy that you can use for authentic living. Listen, organization is not the enemy, but it's also not the savior. And our healing doesn't come from perfect systems. It comes from being honest with ourselves, honest with God. So these days, my home is like pure peace. And it's organized, but it's not perfect. And I feel like that's how it should be. So if this resonated with you, I'd love to hear about it. I want to hear your story in the comments. What have you been using to avoid dealing with your feelings, and what are you prepared to do about it? If you're ready to go deeper, I've created a free guide. It's called The Authentic Living. It's a discovery workbook. It's completely free. I'll link it in the description below. It just helps you uncover who you are at your core. Don't forget to subscribe if you want more content about living authentically and godly, identity-based organization, because that's what we're about around these parts. Not organization as avoidance, but organization as transformation. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Go be great, and I will see you in the next lesson. Bye.